Welcome to Please Excuse My OCD. My name is Tyler Falcoa, and I am your host. I'm doing something a little bit different today. The reason being is because the past week has been a bit of an emotional roller coaster for me. I figured, why not make a short, really raw and honest episode this week without really any goal in mind, but to share a little bit of real, raw emotion that I've been dealing with and how that pertains to the topic of the podcast being OCD and really anxiety in general and how to deal with that. Of course, before we dive in a little bit, I am not a medical professional. I'm simply someone who's had OCD for most of his life, if not all of it. I am here to share my experience with OCD with you. As always, if you are struggling, please seek advice from a medically trained professional. As I mentioned earlier, I've been having quite the week. Just in my personal life, I'm not going to go into details about what's been going on, but I will talk about the underlying emotions that have come along with it. I had a really good conversation with my therapist last week about not trying to change or do anything with the emotions that are coming up. And that really rang true to me because I feel like for most of my life, I've never really just let my emotions be what they were. I feel like I always had this need to change them and to get out of them. And I'm sure most of us have that tendency. I mean, I feel like many people were not brought up with the awareness of really what it takes to live and coexist with our emotions. We're taught to, stop crying. Why are you crying? Like it's a bad thing. Or why are you mad? You shouldn't be mad. Could you imagine if somebody said to you, you shouldn't be happy? And I know that happiness and these more positive feelings are easier to deal with because we like them. They feel good. And the emotions like sadness and anger, these are very heavy emotions that do not feel good. It's really natural for us to want to avoid them or run away from them, but they demand to be felt. If you don't feel them, they will find another way to get themselves heard. And usually when they do that, it's even harder to feel them at that magnitude because they're so much heavier. And so the past week, I felt really intentional about feeling what I've been feeling. Sadness, anger, stuck. And I have this thing where I feel like I look towards this anger and this sadness. And as soon as I look at it and I say, okay, you're feeling mad, you're feeling angry, you're feeling sad, you're feeling stuck. As soon as I allow myself to feel it, and I don't know if I'm like psychoanalyzing myself out of it, but it feels a little bit lighter. And something that I found with myself, not only with OCD and anxiety, but just the whole range of my life and emotions is when I label these things, sometimes it helps me. What I mean by that is the conversation I had with my therapist last week. I said, I feel like, that feeling when you're on the verge of crying and it's sitting in your chest. I have that feeling all the time. I feel it so much. And the best way that I can describe it is it feels like a never-ending black hole, like in the middle of my chest. And this is mainly due to a big transition in my life right now. And she said, I totally understand what you're saying and what you're feeling because I've been there. And you're trying so hard to throw stuff in that black hole to fill it. And every time you do, the hole gets bigger. You're trying to close the hole. Every single time that you try to close that black hole, it expands. So maybe you need to stop trying to fill it. Stop trying to close it and acknowledge that the hole is there. I said, wow, like that is so simple and so profound. That voice of just allowing is so quiet. It's so loud when you try to avoid. It's so loud when you try to fill. But if you just allow, it seems to be a little bit more quiet. When you find that space of silence and sitting with your emotions, and this can go as far as any emotion that you feel, especially with OCD and anxiety, when we try to avoid the feeling of being uncomfortable, when we try to avoid the feeling of uncertainty, the anxiety and the desperation gets bigger. It becomes overbearing. Our feelings, they're not going to kill us. They're going to be uncomfortable. They're going to hurt for a while, but they're not going to kill us. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel like your world is falling apart because they're feelings and they don't last forever. And it's those simple, quiet voices that I need to listen to more often. The ones that say, okay, you're mad. Okay, you're sad. And when you truly allow it to have its voice and have its place, it doesn't need to take over to be heard. I think too, having a support system that you can talk to about this, where they can understand and allow you to be open without judgment. You know, I try not to say I'm angry or I'm sad. I try to say I'm feeling, so I don't attach that to my identity. You know, I'm feeling angry. Okay, you're feeling angry. We don't need to do something with every emotion we feel. When we are happy, we're not trying to avoid it. If anything, we're happy and we feel good, and things that we're doing, they feel good. But when we're sad or anxious or angry, we suddenly take it upon ourselves to do everything to change it. And maybe that's not the purpose. Maybe it's not the purpose to change our emotions. Maybe they are there to teach us and to help guide us into the direction we need to change the things we need to change in our lives outside of the emotion. We don't need to change the sadness or the anger, but maybe we need to change what's actually causing us to get there. I was talking to my mom and I'm like, I feel like I do everything by the book. I feel like, I get up at 6, I go to the gym every day, I eat healthy, I meditate, I go to therapy, I work on the things that I think that I like to work on, but why am I feeling like this? And she says, maybe you're doing them just to do them and you're not actually there. Maybe you're not actually present in those things. Maybe you're not present when you're at the gym. Maybe you're not present when you're meditating. Maybe you're not present when you're working. And she's right. I'm not. I'm doing these things to get out of a place that I feel like I shouldn't be in, rather than doing them because when you're present, they actually have plenty of benefits. It comes back to that awareness and being present with your emotions and the things that you're doing in your life. I feel like I'm constantly asking myself, what are you running from? And this is a very different conversation from really having anxiety and panic. But I think the core principles of allowing them are pretty even across the board. Allowing your panic, allowing your anxiety, allowing your anger, allowing your sadness, as long as you're not hurting anybody else and you're not hurting yourself, but you're simply allowing your emotions to have a place and a voice without trying to change them. When somebody tries to change you, how do you feel? And that's something that I've been really thinking about lately. I just want to share that because I feel like this kind of episode is something I needed to hear this week. And if you enjoy it, or you got something out of it, let me know because maybe I can dive deeper into other forms of ourselves that we can take our anxiety and take into our OCD recovery. But I think these are important things to think about and talk about because these are principles that we can bring with us into most aspects of our lives, especially OCD recovery. I have a quote that my therapist started our conversation with the other day that I'm going to share with you, and I'll leave you with this. This is from Rumi, and it's called The Guest House. It goes like this. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. I get goosebumps reading that, because it's true. What are they here to teach us, and why do we keep pushing them away? I hope this did something for you this week, and I hope that there's something you can take away from it. I just felt called to share this with you, and I'm thankful for that. If you think someone needs to hear this episode, share this with them. I certainly needed to do this episode. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Until next time, let your emotions be what they are and let them say what they have to say, because our emotions are not here to hurt us. They are here to teach us. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next week.